I am Reed, I am 27, just an average dude. I've made tons of money mistakes in my 20s, and now I want to share everything I've learned to help you take control of your finances and your life. Old heads probably think all we do is chill, but the reality is we are generationally stressed because nobody talks about the fact that you can do absolutely nothing all day and still get zero rest. Zero chill. The type of downtime most people indulge in these days, it is like going on vacation for a weekend, but you are with your degenerate friends. You guys get an Airbnb, take Monday off work, so you got 3 days off, but you come back on Tuesday, and do you feel rested, or do you feel like a shell of the version of you that left on Friday? It was a bender, bro. That is exactly what is happening with your day-to-day downtime. I truly believe knowing how to chill is a skill in 2026, and most of us never learned it. I want to get into this because I think this is one of the most overlooked parts of trying to get your life together in your 20s. Everyone talks about making more money investing in stocks, hustling, grinding, but nobody talks about the fact that if your nervous system is cooked, none of that stuff matters, because you want to have the energy or the clarity to execute any of it. I learned this the hard way. Back when I was in my early 20s living that paycheck to paycheck life, I was stressed all the time about money, about my future, about everything. And what did I do to unwind? I would come home after a long shift at whatever job I was working, and I would sit on the couch, scroll through Instagram, watch Netflix, have a podcast playing in the background, order food I could not afford, and tell myself I was relaxing. But I was relaxing, I was just numbing out, and my nervous system was still running at full speed the whole time. I wake up the next day feeling even more tired than before, feeling anxious, feeling guilty, and then I do it all over again. That cycle kept me stuck for years, and it kept me broke too, because when your brain is fried, you make terrible decisions with your money. You impulse buy, you eat out, you convince yourself that you deserve to treat yourself because you are so stressed. But the treating yourself is actually what is keeping you stressed in the first place. It is a trap, bro, and I fell for it for so long. Let me split this into two parts. First, we are going to talk about the mindset side, which, in my opinion, is more important, and then we will get into the bro science like HRV and nervous system, because this stuff changed my life. First things first, to even talk about chilling, we have to fix our mindset, because if you are a self-improvement guy who feels guilty every second that you are not doing something productive, you have been compromised by big self-help. And I say this as someone who is fully compromised. I spent so many years doing absolutely nothing with my life that now when I try to relax, I have this inner guilt like I should be doing something more. But this mindset ends up screwing you, because if you are telling yourself every second needs to be optimal, if you are never getting rest, if you are never relaxing, then you will never know what it feels like to operate at 100%, because your nervous system will never get a break. And the nervous system, I am convinced, is the key to everything. If you can get your nervous system under control, you can get anything under control: your finances, your relationships, your health, your career, everything. Let me tell you a story. A few weeks ago, I made the mistake of re-downloading Instagram. I know I talk about deleting it all the time, and I did delete it for almost a year, and it genuinely changed my life. But I caved, bro. I caved over a girl. That is the most embarrassing thing I will ever admit on this channel, but it is the truth. I bit the apple over a girl. I told myself I just want to see what I missed. It has been almost a year. So there I am scrolling through Instagram, looking at people I still do not care about. I am opening reels that my boys have been sending into the void for the last year. And instantly, I felt myself slipping back into an old mindset. I felt my stress levels spike. I felt my brain get foggy. I felt that old familiar anxiety creeping back in. And here's the crazy part. I only had the app downloaded for 2 days. In those 2 days, I felt so much stress come back to me that I had not felt in so long. I was not at ease once for 48 hours. I checked my Whoop, which, by the way, this is not sponsored, and my stress levels were up 350%. It was not in my head. My nervous system was actually taking a hit. And that is the thing about this stuff. You do not realize how fried you are until you step away, and then you feel what it is like to come back. And you realize, wow, I was living in a constant state of low-grade panic, and I did not even know it because I had normalized it. The main thing that prevents our generation from recharging properly is what I call divided consciousness. Back in the day when you were done with a long day of farming or whatever people did in the old days, you had no choice but to power the brain down after, because what else were you going to do? There was nothing to do. But for us, after a long, stressful day of work, what do? We come home and we start consuming, we scroll, we watch, we listen, we do all of it at once. Our monkey brains do not view ripping Call of Duty while listening to a podcast as relaxing. During this free time where your mind should be getting a breather, you are putting it to work even more so you can stim on your phone. This realization has been life-changing for me. When I am doing two things at once, or even thinking about doing two things at once, my Zoomer brain might feel good in the moment, but it is not resting. Driving is super relaxing, right? But the second I throw on some music, which I love to do now, I am doing two things at once, and it is no longer relaxing. I lose that singular focus that recharges my brain, and I feel like I might be late to realizing this, but I feel like a lot of people still have not picked up on it yet. In order to recharge your brain, you have to focus your consciousness on one thing. As a generation, we have lost the ability to do that naturally. We get bored, and we try to avoid boredom at all costs when that is exactly what our brain needs. Boredom and silence. My theory is that active use of social media makes singular consciousness almost impossible, even if you are not scrolling all day, even if you just check it for 2 minutes before doing something else. Those 2 minutes drag your attention away, and suddenly you are thinking about some random post while you are trying to read a book or cook dinner or have a conversation. Your brain never gets a full break because it is always half waiting for the next notification, the next dopamine hit. I deleted that portal to the underworld, by the way, so now I feel comfortable quoting Socrates again. He has this quote about when a man begins to give in to his desires towards something, it is like digging a hole in a spring and all the water starts to flow less to all the other aspects of his life. I am paraphrasing like a fry cook, but I really felt this happening in real time when I re-downloaded Instagram. The water was draining out of everything else in my life in just 2 days. That is how powerful this stuff is. The goal for me is to keep the water flowing, bro. That is why I need relaxation. That is why I need to chill. That is why I need to avoid things that poke holes in my tank. Things that are truly relaxing are simple. It can really be anything as long as it is one thing. And first, you got to tell yourself that you deserve to be chilling, because if you do not and you are sitting there thinking, oh, I should be doing this or I should be out doing that right now, there goes your singular consciousness, there goes the water. All of a sudden, you are stressing for no reason. This is another reason to delete Instagram, by the way, because I do not want to see what everyone else is doing in my free time when I am supposed to be chilling. Comparison is the thief of joy, and it is also the thief of rest. This is why meditation is so important to me. It is what tapped me into singular focus. It showed me that letting go is a skill that I can actually get better at, and letting go is relaxing. It is the same thing, just a different word, but you cannot let go when you're tripping over every other thought that runs through your head. For me to truly chill, I need to be in this mindset of, yeah, there are a million things I could be doing right now. I could be making YouTube videos, I could be at the bar with my friends, I could be going nuts on Hinge trying to get a date for tonight. I could be doing a million things right now, but for me to actually chill, I need to tell myself that what I am doing in this present moment is exactly what I need to be doing right now. Chilling. And by doing this, by actually chilling, when you do go back into the world, you are going to be operating at a much higher level. So just chill, bro. Do whatever works for you. Watch an old movie, go for a walk, read a book, play a video game. The key is singular focus. Just one thing, embrace the slower pace. There does not need to be an objective or an outcome in mind. And that is something I think a lot of us struggle with, including myself. We feel like there needs to be a point to everything we do, and that prevents real chill. The best one for me, and I know I talk about this all the time, is reading by far. Reading is the way out. Right now, I truly believe that. And there are two types of reading. There is studying, which I like to do too. Like I get a big coffee, I take notes, I am reading philosophy and self-development books. That is important, but that is not really the reading I am talking about when you are trying to chill. I am talking about finding a nice story and training your brain to get lost in it, to focus on that and only that. If you have been frying your nervous system for a while, which we all have, reading exposes that because you will have to reread every other sentence because your consciousness got stuck on something else. This trains singular consciousness better than anything else. It forces the brain to take the break that it needs. Let me get a little more scientific now and talk about the nervous system. Keep in mind, I am still just a YouTuber who learned this stuff by obsessively reading and experimenting on myself because I had to figure out why I felt like garbage all the time. Once someone told me about this biometric called HRV, which stands for heart rate variability, and it basically measures your body's ability to handle the stress that each day throws at you. I have been obsessed with this one metric ever since and tracking it pretty much every day. It gives me this data that tells me what is going on with my nervous system every day, what impacts it negatively and what makes it stronger. And it is accurate too. After I get a solid 8 hours of sleep and read before bed like a good boy, my HRV the next day is always super high and I feel on top of the world, like I can handle anything. But if I go to the bar and slam a bunch of beers, my HRV is absolutely wrecked the next day. If I stay up late scrolling on my phone, my HRV is garbage. If I have a stressful day at work where I am constantly checking emails, my HRV tanks. I view the nervous system like a currency. Every day, I wake up with a certain amount of nervous system bread, or V-Bucks we will call it. You go to work, you spend V-Bucks. You go to the gym, you spend V-Bucks. You deal with traffic, you spend V-Bucks. You have an awkward conversation, you spend V-Bucks. Now you come home and it should be time to chill. Time to earn some V-Bucks back, but in this modern world, you come home and you are not recharging. You are just spending more V-Bucks. You scroll Instagram, you watch YouTube, you play video games while listening to a podcast, while eating dinner, while checking your email. That is 6 things at once, bro, and all of them are spending V-Bucks. Then the next day you wake up and you do it again, but now you have a little V-Buck debt, and the next day it bleeds into that day and it builds and builds. And we wonder how it is possible to feel so stressed out all the time, stressed out over literally nothing. It is because our nervous systems are absolutely fried. Things can be going well in life and you are still tense walking around with your shoulders up and your jaw clenched. Your nervous system is just begging for a break, begging for you to stop spending V-Bucks and start earning some back. So how do we actually do it? I am not Andrew Huberman, right? I am still a student of the game. My nervous system just got mangled by an Instagram baddie not that long ago, so clearly I do not have it all figured out. But I will say this compared to who I was a few years ago. I am Yoda, I am Gandhi. I know some things. One of the best realizations I have come to in my adult life is the power of doing things that people have been doing for thousands of years. Just trying your best to avoid all this new stuff and act like a caveman. If you follow the caveman blueprint, you will be straight for the most part. You really will not have to worry about your nervous system or your HRV. A massive part of that blueprint for me was tapping in with the sun. I know it sounds ridiculous, like what are you talking about? But we wonder why we are all tweaked out all the time when we sit inside a cave all day. The sun is the regulator. It is the first thing I do every single morning. I do not check my phone. I do not go straight for coffee. I promise you the first thing I do is go look at the sun. If the sun is not out, I go look at the clouds. Start your day like Tarzan started his and watch the impact on your mind and your body, because the way you are living right now, your body might not even know it is morning when you wake up and check Instagram in the dark. Your body is not processing that as the start of a new day. It is processing it as stress. Throughout the day, especially during the summer, one of my main goals is to get out in the sun as much as possible. I know it is not possible for everyone with work and geography, but you gotta at least try. I used to go out on the roof at my office job during lunch and just soak it up for as long as I could. I would come back all sweaty and I did not care. It was the only way for me to get through the day. Even a simple walk outside will do it. I cannot emphasize enough how good the sun is for your physical and mental health. We have removed it from our daily lives, and that is a mistake. Anytime I feel sad, I go sit in the sun. It is way harder to be depressed after sitting in the sun. Have you ever met a depressed surfer? Put on some sunscreen. Obviously, don't get burnt, but your body needs sun almost as much as it needs water. And take a vitamin D pill every day if you are not getting enough sun. That stuff is non-negotiable. Speaking of caveman abilities, you need to be spamming for your nervous system, lifting heavy things up and putting them down. We live a sedentary lifestyle, and it is not. Bro. Lifting is how we tap into these ancient brainwaves that have been shut off and replaced by garbage like emailing, scrolling, and monitoring. We need to get rid of those and start picking stuff up. Ideally, we would not have to lift. We would all be in the wild building stuff, rolling rocks, climbing trees, but the Industrial Revolution happened, and that is not the case anymore. Now, the average guy has all this energy built up inside with nowhere to go, and instead of putting it somewhere, we become tweakers. Little things start to become a huge deal. You become super reactive. Those public freakout compilation videos on YouTube, I swear 99% of them are a result of unspent energy. When you start lifting, being strong is cool, being jacked is cool, but the real benefit is your baseline stress will be so much lower. I used to get lifts in before going into the office because I realized if I did not, I would want to fight everyone in there. It would be 9 a.m. and I am ready for the smoke. Anyone could get it. Then I get a lift in and I am out of my head, all that stress, all that tension gone. I am smiling at people. It is like our bodies were designed to be used every day. It is a lot harder to be stressed out about a girl, a boss, a job when you are benching or squatting your body weight. It forces you into the present moment. Most people are walking around mentally tired but physically wired, and that is the root of 90% of our issues. But be careful with this one. Do not overdo it. If you are like me, you find something that makes you feel good and you just start spamming it. You have to take rest days or you start paying the price physically and mentally.